Hey guys, so this is going to be the full-length review for the Baddies Midwest reunion episode. So for those who just wanted the quick thoughts, you guys already got that. But this is for the people who want the long, detailed review. Okay, so we basically starting just with quickly going over the looks. They did have some different looks before they got on stage and then when they got on stage. I just feel like Summer always looks a mess. Very loud and tacky outfits. That hasn't changed. Out of this set, Nunu is my favorite. Janisha also looked cute, but she didn't wear that on stage. I believe Nunu actually wore this same outfit on the stage. Ivory came looking really cute. I love that for her. I like Pretty P's outfit and her hair. I like how it kind of goes together. Big Lex and Diamond both came dressed like they was there for a boxing match or for WrestleMania. There's Diamond with her belt. Slim came with her straight backs like she needed to, but I heard Slim didn't even get into it with nobody. She just argued with Roelly, but at least she came prepared. Tasiki always dressed like Cookie Lion. Like she love her some fur. She love her some cheetah leopard print. She just be giving me young Cookie. Anna was looking like a substitute teacher or something. I wasn't feeling that. Santana wearing the same dress that he wore last reunion. I guess he gonna wear that every reunion. That's gonna be his signature reunion look. I don't know. And Natalie, this outfit was a mess. And we're gonna get into that outfit that you had on when you was talking to Mel with your titties hanging out. That was a mess too. I don't know why Natalie continues to think that we want to see her naked. What are you selling and who are you selling it to? So we start with Lex, Dolly, and Summer, and they just amped up talking about how they ready for the reunion. This the day they've been waiting for. This is the big moment, this, that, and the third. Roelly comes in and everybody's excited. All three of them get up to hug her. But of course, they have to address what happened at the auditions, which we saw when Summer and Roelly got into it. So they both said that their feelings were hurt, but Roelly was like, as an OG and you being a new baddie, I could have handled it better rather than attacking you. So I do apologize for that from the bottom of my heart, and I do love you. So they made up, and that was cute, but at the end of the day, Roelly did to Summer what she was supposed to do, and so did Tinkerbella. What she did to that girl at the auditions was dead wrong. Making fun of that girl Trauma when she got popped, talking about she was a setup bee, and then having all those girls jump her. Now, did Roelly have to attack her? Not necessarily. So I get why she said, I didn't have to put my hands on you, but she definitely needed to check her. And Dolly and Summer both said that Roelly is one of the OGs that they feel like they really could talk to. She's one of the ones that actually drops gems on them and gives them game. So then we see Ivory, Jazz, and Pretty P in a room. Pretty P said that people been popping stuff online and she gonna be popping P tonight and handle her business. Ivory said y'all know what she here to do and she got so much smoke she gonna need an inhaler. Next, we go to the room with Biggie, Anna, Tasiki, and Scotty. Like I said in my short review, wasn't feeling Anna's tooth gems. Scotty said that she got smoked with Roelly because Roelly called her cockeyed. So Scotty basically explained to them that Roelly's mad at her because Scotty ended up going online and defending Slim once the episode actually dropped and the fans got on that ass. So Biggie was like, so why didn't you say something in the moment that you felt like it was wrong? What was happening to Slim? Why did you wait until the episode aired? That's why Roelly probably feels attacked or you turned on her, she feels away. So on one hand, I did understand where Biggie and Anna was coming from, basically saying Slim accepted this. She signed up for this. She said she would be a personal slave, which she basically did say, because when Roelly told her, you going to be my personal assistant, Slim was laughing, talking about, ha ha, I'm a pet. So you was taking it as a joke and you signed up for it. But Tasiki and Scotty said, it was supposed to be just with Roelly. And that's how I always felt watching the show. I told y'all, when her and Roelly had their one-on-one fights, I know y'all care about the size difference and stuff, but at the end of the day, they both said effed up stuff about each other and they used to be best friends. So them having one-on-one fights, I did not mind. I just didn't like how Roelly snuck Slim without her seeing her coming when she came up those steps. And I didn't like how Summer jumped in the fight and how some of the other girls was just egging it on and being a part of the bullying, like Emma and Jazz. So now we see Nunu, Tinkerbella, Jayla, Jaden, and Diamond in a room. Nunu decides to be messy and asks Tinkerbella and Jayla what happened. She saw them online and they had gotten into an argument. So y'all see this picture right here from the blog. I'm going to insert a clip of that argument that they were having. But apparently this argument was because we know Tinkerbella and Akbar don't get along. Apparently Jayla is cool with Akbar and she was also cool with Tinkerbella. And I guess she told Akbar something that Tinkerbella said or something like that.
And when the bitch was on my phone playing about you, I checked her. It doesn't fucking matter because exactly, and that's when the conversation was had. Tink, nah, we ain't gonna do that. I fuck with you and I fuck with Tink. You said she did say. No, bitch, you know God, yeah, turkey. What the fuck I said? You a turkey and Thanksgiving is coming up. You a turkey Thanksgiving coming up. I'm a cook. It's a lie. Like I said something bad about me. It's not about that. It's the principle. She wanna know what the fuck the purpose of the conversation was.
Guess what? If you was mutual,
you should have said mutual. I would have came to you and said the exact same thing.
That's weird.
There was nothing bad about
So in the clip with Jayla and Tinkerbella basically was saying, you supposed to be neutral, so act neutral. So she was basically acting like she didn't really have an issue with Jayla being cool with both of them. She just wanted her to be neutral. But then in this scene, in the reunion, while they're backstage right here, she's asking Jayla, oh, name a time Akbar had your back, because I always have your back countless times. So you really don't want her to be neutral. You want her to choose your side because you feel like you're a better friend to her than Akbar is. So like I told y'all in the shortened version, Jayla brought up how Meatball and Tinkerbella was supposed to be best friends. They came in last season and now they fell out. Tinkerbella gonna say, yeah, but we really grew up together though. And Jayla was like, exactly, and that's worse. Like, y'all came on this show and fell out and y'all supposed to be real friends who grew up with each other and knew each other before fame and when y'all was kids. So Tinkerbella was calling Jayla a turkey. Jayla says she's not too big to apologize. Tinkerbella says, so why you didn't been apologize? Jayla started getting emotional, saying she got tears in her eyes. She about to cry, talking about, when did you ever give me a chance to apologize? It was just dramatic. It was a joke. Jaden and Diamond was laughing at them the whole time, and so was I. So Jazz is saying, y'all know who I'm here for. I only got beef with Summer. But she said if it was really a problem, I would have been got her because I know where she live at. Yeah, we know you know where she live at. And you apparently doxed her address online. And now Summer's allegedly suing you for that. You putting out her address where she got kids. But then gonna say you not used to beefing with a B on her level, a B of her caliber. You shouldn't be beefing with somebody that's of her caliber. But you going to those great lengths and those extremes of exposing her address online. And what type of caliber B are you when you putting out somebody's address where you know they got kids that lay their head? I don't care how cute you look and how much money you got and how you dress. What type of caliber B are you doing stuff like that? Okay, so back with this group, Biggie tells Scotty, you've been talking a lot this season. These girls are going to come for you. Scotty was, of course, acting like she don't know what Biggie is talking about. But it's like, I feel like Scotty been talking, but she low-key has addressed her beef with everybody she got beef with. Like, she knows who she got problems with tonight. It's Summer, it's Lex, potentially Natalie, and potentially Roelly. That's pretty much the people that she talked about and had beef with this season. It's not like she talked about people in her confessionals that it would be surprising to them. And Biggie just talking too much for me in general. She asking Scotty, oh, if they really square up on you, what are you going to do? She's probably not going to do what you did. Like, why are you even asking somebody that? I wish Scotty would have said, girl, I'm not going to do what you did last reunion when J.O. squared up on you and slapped you in your face and you ain't do shit about it. But you talking about it and taking it out on Nunu the next season. So clearly you still mad about it. Should have did something about it in a moment. Why you asking me what I'm going to do if somebody run up on me? Just know I'm going to do the opposite of what you did. Anna says she knows she's not supposed to be jumping, but she don't care. She riding for her friends. She jumping in Scotty fights. She jumping in Biggie fights. She jumping in even Tasiki fights. Even though she knows Tasiki don't need her help. And she also says she's jumping in Jayla's fights. So Roelly was showing Summer, Lex, and Dolly her dog. And then all of a sudden, Emma and Yoshi come in the room. Now, we know based on what Emma told us, production sent her and Yoshi in there. And clearly that was a setup for Emma. They knew Yoshi wasn't going to do anything. They knew Roelly wasn't going to help Emma. And she's holding a dog anyway. So she's about to get tore up. Now, like I told y'all, I will give Lex her credit. She actually did jump in. She was saying no, Summer. She was breaking up the fight. I do just still feel like if I was in Lex's shoes and I know that two of my girls are jumping somebody that I also like and I'm also cool with, I'm going to try to get my friend off who I feel like is the bigger threat, which means I'm going to get Dolly away from Emma because Summer can't fight anyway. Emma and Summer could have a fair one-on-one fight. Summer's not going to tear Emma up and Emma's not going to tear Summer up. But you knew that Dolly was going to tear Emma up. So your goal, being somebody who's also cool with Emma, should have been getting Dolly out the way, not Summer. But I did hear Emma call Dolly out when she entered the room, so maybe it was supposed to be a one-on-one with them. And I also said that it's a possibility that Lex didn't want to risk the possibility of her and Dolly getting into it because of that. Because Dolly seems like one of those people who doesn't like people breaking up her fights. And she might potentially turn on Lex. Like, girl, you getting in my fight, now I'm going to hit you. And Lex might not want to risk that because of their friendship. I don't think she's intimidated by Dolly or anything, but who knows? So overall, I would have handled it differently than Lex did. But I'm not as mad at her as I was when I initially watched the episode. So Emma's nose was leaking. They took her out of the room. And I'm definitely still not a fan of the stay ready so you don't got to get ready comment to Emma when you talking about somebody getting jumped. She was ready for a one-on-one. She wasn't ready to get jumped. Because when she was getting Summer, she was about to swing Summer ass to the ground and tear Summer up. That's what it looked like. So we see Santana and Janisha. He talking about Zeus as his second home. He getting real comfortable. Like I said, I think Santana is definitely going to be a permanent Baddies host. He said today is Judgment Day. Sides don't matter. There's no injured reserve. And you're going to have to stand on what you have said. So Janisha says she do agree with Santana about the fact that a lot of the OGs felt like they were too cool for school or they were bigger than the program. And Santana was like, yeah, maybe we should just focus on the newbies. Like, do the OGs even want to be recasted? And we see that they did get rid of a lot of the OGs this season. I think about 5 OGs got chopped. Okay, so now let's talk about Natalie and Mel. Like E. Kane said, why was Natalie's titties in pigtails? I had to cover it for YouTube and TikTok purposes, but y'all know what she had on. She looked a mess, and I see why Mel said it was a sex outfit. So Natalie goes into Melanie's dressing room. Mel has a mouth guard in, and Natalie's like, just tell me what's going on and we could go from there. Mel is talking about, oh, why do I have beef with so many girls? It went from Ivory to Anna to Tinkerbella to Tasiki. How did this happen? But it's like, Mel, why are you acting confused when you were the one who was going on live every Sunday when the episodes were airing, crashing out, giving your opinion on the girls and saying stuff about what happened when you went to Hawaii and how you felt like they were coming for you or they weren't welcoming. Like, you were throwing shade and crashing out about all these girls separately. So why are you acting shocked? Especially with the Tasiki thing. You know what you said about Tasiki. You brought up the allegations that Krishan said about Tasiki. So why are you acting confused as to why you would have to run it with Ivory and Tasiki? So in the room, Natalie is being fake, telling Mel, I don't know how any of this happened. It's all the online stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm going to respect whatever decision you want to do. So just let me know. Meanwhile, we see the Zeus security guards got Ivory in the parking lot. And Ivory like, what y'all got me out here for? Let's go. So they basically got Ivory out there waiting for Mel to walk out. And Natalie knows this. So Mel says she's leaving. Natalie walks Mel out to the parking lot. And then as Mel is walking down the stairs, of course, she sees that Ivory is there. And she's like, oh, you trying to set me up. So this is what she mean when she's saying they was trying to set her up. She felt like she was going to get jumped, but she also probably felt set up because, girl, I told you I'm leaving and I'm not fighting nobody. Y'all not paying me enough. I feel outnumbered, this, that, and the third. You talking about you going to respect whatever I want to do. And then when I'm on my way out the door, you got my main op waiting for me at the bottom of the steps. So Mel and Ivory start yelling back and forth to each other. Ivory's like, why did you come? Why are you here? Melanie like, SMD. They didn't pay me enough to fight you. I'm going home. So Ivory kept saying that Mel was running. Mel was clearly walking off, just like she told us in the live. She walked clean the F off. She did not run. So I don't know why Natalie and Ivory kept saying that. And like she said, girl, I fought you 1,000 times. Why would I be scared of you? I said what I said. They not paying me enough to fight you. I think she was scared to fight Tasiki. I think she ran her mouth and talked all that stuff about Tasiki, and I don't think she really wanted it with Tasiki. But as far as Ivory, I don't think Mel is scared of Ivory. She's fought her 1,000,000 times. So Mel was like, yeah, where's the car? Because it's not giving setup. And Natalie was like, no, it's not. I won't let it happen. And Mel was like, yeah, because I'm not letting it happen. Like, girl, don't nobody trust you, Natalie. You are the setup queen. She's not letting it happen. So like I said, Ivory started crashing out. She was on her Now That's TV stuff. Like I said, I don't like when Ivory gets like that. I'm not a fan of the person she was before Zeus. She started bringing up the whole peeing on Mel situation and just bragging about it. Drink my snow cup. Like, girl, please stop. Please stop. I'm trying to forget that you did that and get over it slowly. And you keep reminding me. So it just makes it hard for me to like Ivory. Like, she definitely was one of my favorite newbies on this season because of how she was on this season. Because she was like against the bullying and stuff like that. But when she reverts back to this, she loses me. So Natalie started jumping in and she was like, Mel, you did say you wanted to pop your stuff with Ivory. And Mel was like, yeah, but I don't have to do nothing. I don't have to do nothing. And Natalie was like, yeah, but that's what you said, though. But you don't have to worry about it because you ain't going to be on Baddies anyway. So Mel got in the car. She cursed the Zeus cameras out, told them the SMD. If they don't get out her face, she's going to throw something at their camera and they won't have no camera. Ivory walked back in the building. She's mad. She's telling them, don't bring her out until it's time for her to knock bees out. Don't bring her out for no more punk ass hoes. Now, I already told y'all this Jocelyn knockoff performance was trash. You want to be Jocelyn so bad. You performed half of the song. They wasn't even really showing your performance or focusing on your performance. While you performing, they showing us all the girls backstage. Girl, bye. Next. Now, of course, they waste a lot of time by having a host introduce the host to introduce the host to introduce the host, right? So Bobby comes out to introduce Janisha, and then Janisha introduces Saucy Santana, and then Janisha and Saucy introduce Natalie. So when Saucy came out on stage, he said that he wanted to see Dolly versus Tasiki, Summer versus Scotty, Anna versus Lex, and he said that he wouldn't mind seeing Lex and Tasiki, which I understood why he said that, because I could see Tasiki saying to Lex, oh, you not fighting Anna, and taking that fade. So he basically saying if that was to happen, he wouldn't be mad at it. And I wouldn't be mad at it either, because we know Lex would tear Anna up. Lex and Tasiki is more of an even fight. Like, Lex might could keep up with Tasiki a little bit, you know? I'm not saying she gonna win, but she might could keep up with her a little bit. And when Santana mentioned his rules about size not mattering, Bobby was in the crowd and he was like, are you talking about Anna? And Janisha and Saucy were like, he's talking about everybody. And he was like, yeah, I'm talking about everybody. But Bobby was right, because the main person who be using the size don't matter excuse is Anna. And like I said, I kind of understood where Anna was coming from earlier when she said the thing about, Slim accepted that treatment. But I was surprised that Anna never spoke up for Slim, because Anna is the main one who always speak about size differences, and Slim is small as well. Saucy said his favorite this season is Summer. She's the MVP in his opinion. He says she is annoying, but she do keep the show going, which I do have to agree with. I think they said Baddies Midwest had 118 fades, and Summer was a part of 50-something of them. So then Janisha was like, I'm being a little messy, but who was your least favorite this season? I heard somebody in the crowd yell Tasiki very loud, but Santana said that his least favorite was Tinkerbella this season. Tinkerbella did also get on my nerves this season, and she was one of my least favorites. And I feel like Tinka and Santana already had tension from the last reunion when Tommy and Santana was kind of on the side. And when Tinka came out, Santana was like, who is that? And Tommy was like, oh, that's Tinka. She don't look the same without makeup on. And that's also why I think Tinkerbella really had an issue with Tommy on Midwest when she got popped. Santana also went on to say that he feel like Roelly is one of them ones who really say the same things in her confessional that she say to the girls' faces. And I have to agree. So this was foreshadowing. Janisha asked Natalie if she had any smoke tonight. Natalie showed that she had her sneakers on and said that she's been to plenty reunions, so she always comes ready. Santana said they can't touch the queen. I feel like if any of the girls touch you, the rest of the baddies need to jump them. Well, we clearly saw that didn't happen 5 minutes later when Diamond comes out. Let's welcome to the stage Scotty with the body. That's how Janisha's voice sounded when it cracked and she introduced Scotty. I definitely believe that Janisha planned to continue just referring to her as Scotty like she did on the East and Caribbean reunions. But Lemmy or the Zeus production probably told her, you need to introduce her as Scotty with the body. That's the name that this girl is known for amongst our community. And you need to deal with it and do your job. But Janisha definitely seems disgusted with Scotty. And I talked about this a little bit more in my Baddies Africa Tea recap part 6 that I posted last night. So y'all could go look at that to see where Scotty basically said that she tried to hug Janisha before and Janisha told her no. So that's why she just waves hello and she keeps her distance. So Tasiki comes out. The crowd is talking about eat. She's doing this as she runs out. So then Diamond comes out and does this barbarian banging on her chest move. And when she goes to hug Natalie, she basically slaps her after. Now, the slap wasn't that hard. It was pretty soft to me, but it was still obviously a show of disrespect and a sneaking situation because the girl said that Diamond had just been backstage with them, taking shots, and obviously she chose to hug Natalie right before doing it. But how else would she have been able to catch Natalie? Because we saw when she tried to fight Natalie head up on the Baddies Caribbean reunion, Natalie ran behind the couch. So it's like Natalie will always try to use security or just run away from it, period, if she is aware that something is going to happen. That's why E.T. did the same thing she did. Like, you have to catch Natalie off guard to catch her and for it to be a fair fight for you. So Natalie was definitely activated. She was swinging, trying to get DTB, and Santana was like, no shade. Y'all need to let Natalie get her. So when they ended up going at it, I do feel like Diamond still got the best because I saw her connecting more, hitting Natalie on the top of her head. But like I said, Natalie was swinging. So Jayla sees that Natalie is fighting and she runs out telling the security, are y'all serious? What are y'all doing? Y'all need to make sure Natalie's good. Like, Jayla, why are you not letting Natalie get her one-on-one with Diamond? Because she didn't even care when you got your one-on-one with Dolly. And let's not forget, Lex and Summer was jumping in. So you technically was getting jumped. Jayla always trying to be a good friend to Natalie. And Natalie showed her time and time again why she needs to stop. So apparently Anna and Diamond's best friend got into it. Natalie was talking stuff about Diamond's best friend, basically saying that she was clout chasing, trying to get on the show and creating a storyline with Anna, and it wasn't going to work. So Diamond was like, you didn't have to go and talk stuff about me online. You have my number. You could have DM'd me this, that, and the third. Natalie said, I'm going to do what I want to do. And Diamond said, yeah, and it's going to have consequences. Natalie said, no, you're going to have consequences. I can do what I want to do, and you're fired. And Diamond was like, okay, well, you say you a cast member, and cast members get touched. Diamond definitely ate that line up because if you don't want to get touched, you need to go behind the scenes or you should have established some type of authority like Jocelyn did. And you already missed that boat. You can't establish no authority. Nobody's scared of you. You can't even fight. So your only option is to step behind the camera if you want some respect and to not get treated like a regular cast member. So Scotty and Tasiki was just telling Santana how they was all taking shots backstage, so they don't understand why Diamond would hit Natalie because she wasn't acting like it was no beef when they was all behind the stage just now. And Santana was like, I honestly thought if anything it was going to be beef between DTB and Tasiki. So he was suggesting that maybe she was trying to duck Tasiki, so she hit Natalie. But I don't think that's the case because I feel like Tasiki already made it clear that she wasn't going to fight Diamond again at this reunion. So Natalie tells Diamond, you ain't coming back, B. Save your check and stretch it, ho. But we know that was a lie because Diamond is on Africa. They just did all of this and included it in the show, like, to show that you got no power. Let me is playing in your face, Natalie. They edited this and decided to air it like this to just show the viewers that you have no power. So Natalie's telling them, this is my set. If y'all let her back on my set, it's up. Jayla's still following Natalie around backstage, trying to be a good friend to her and check up on her. And Natalie gonna look at Jayla and basically dismiss her and say, you can go back on stage. Look at how her hand motion is to Jayla. Like, girl, you can go. And then look at Jayla's face. Like I said, you always trying to be this girlfriend and she always show you that she's not your friend, Jayla. So we see Jayla get brought out on stage and then we get taken backstage again. Natalie still going off, telling Diamond that she's sending her back to the strip club. So now she thinks she's Stevie J and Diamond is Jocelyn. So Natalie's going off on Biggie and Tink and a few of the other girls in the back. I think Roelly was standing there too. And she's like, don't ever think y'all could try me. This is my show. Nobody's going to put their hands on me, this, that, and the third. Tinkerbella's over here talking about, yeah, Diamond's bugging. Diamond's wrong. Like, I thought Diamond was your bestie. And I thought you was mad at Natalie too for the way she handled when you got popped. So you know Natalie's fake too. And then what was the point of them trying to give that whole big reveal later? I could tell right here that Tinkerbella is pregnant. Like, look at how she holding her stomach. And then this person who was blocking her moved. Like, we knew she was pregnant from right here. And we been knew she was pregnant anyway from the blog. So it's like, please, that announcement that y'all tried to do later, BS. And then Anna was even saying, oh, Diamond is bugging. Why would she do that? And now you're the one who allegedly is fighting Natalie in Africa. Like, girl, bye. Y'all all be sucking Natalie D. And y'all was going against Diamond. And now y'all all trying to do the same thing the next season. Please. And I don't know who this man was, but like they said online, he was holding Biggie like she's Big Mama. Is this Biggie new man or is this a security guard or both? So Natalie ends up out in the parking lot with Diamond, tells Diamond that she's ugly. She chose Tinkerbella over Diamond for Baddies Africa. Anyway, Diamond was like, okay, but do you want to fight? Natalie just walked off. So Roelly gets brought out to the stage. Jayla starts wrapping her hair up. Several audience members start getting up and telling Jayla she better beat Roelly up. Roelly's a big bully. She better get Roelly, this, that, and the third. Roelly was like, hey, Jayla, smiling. And Jayla was kind of just looking at Roelly like, girl, no, we need to talk or we need to address some stuff. And then Roelly also peeped that Scotty's shoes was off. So she asked Scotty, what's up with you? Why you got your shoes off? But Scotty basically clarified that she had her shoes off because DTB had ran up on Natalie. But she made sure to tell Roelly at the end of the day, I'm prepared for anything. Because remember, she said her and Roelly got a little bit of smoke and Roelly told her she's cockeyed. So Roelly was like, that's cute, Scotty. That's cute that you're ready for everything. But we already know Roelly will tear Scotty up. Roelly done smacked the mess out of Scotty going back to South. The most Scotty would have to try to get a little bit of something on Roelly would be for her to land one of these good new fatal kicks she got. And I don't know if Jayla was laughing when the whole Tommy popping situation happened, but I do know that in that scene that we saw when Scotty told Jayla and Natalie that Tinka and Roelly were mad at them, Jayla definitely said, well, if they mad, they could be mad. So you did not care. You was not being empathetic or understanding towards their situation. You said if they was mad because y'all went out to the club and y'all didn't go and check on them and y'all didn't go to the hospital, if they was mad, then they could be mad. So why are you sitting here gaslighting Roelly, acting like you was just so caring and you was being a good friend? You and Natalie both were not good friends in that situation. And Natalie was not a good boss in that situation. We already established that. So Jayla need to take some accountability for how she handled that Tommy situation and basically was following behind doing the same stuff that Natalie was doing. And Roelly even mentioned that she saw a text message in Natalie's phone that came from Jayla basically asking Natalie, oh, you really with them? Referring to Tinkerbella and Roelly after they got popped. So this is what I'm saying. You thought that it was a you and Natalie versus Roelly and Tinka thing when you needed to just be worried about being a good friend to them when they really just went through something. And you should have actually been caring about that. But whatever the case may be, these two decided to hug it out for the moment. Like I said, present day, they're beefing again. Jayla's doing interviews calling Roelly evil. Roelly saying that Jayla ate cat to stay on the show and to get on Baddies South. So it is what it is. This friendship is fake. They've never really been friends. They met on Baddies South. They didn't have time to really develop a friendship before they had that fight. Jayla won that fight on Baddies South. I don't think that they'll ever really be friends. And I don't think that Roelly will ever really like Jayla and really vice versa. So Natalie came back to the stage after getting her hair fixed after she was attacked by Diamond. So Scotty was like, you was going back and forth with people on the internet? Natalie gonna say, I don't do the internet stuff. Since when, girl? You always did the internet stuff, like for the last 20 years. So Natalie says she just feels like Diamond wants to be her. Diamond wants her spot and it's not gonna happen. We'll see about that. I don't know if Diamond's gonna have Natalie's spot, but I do feel like at some point Natalie will be pushed off this show as that face, and they will replace her as the face, and she will just continue being an EP. She will have no choice. But Bobby was like, okay, well, I want to get to what's going on with Scotty and Roelly. And Roelly was like, yeah, me too, because Scotty got them shoes off. So she's not really believing that Scotty took her shoes off because Diamond attacked Natalie. She feel like Scotty still got the shoes off now because she's ready for some smoke. And the crowd was telling Scotty to beat Roelly's ass. And Roelly was like, yeah, Scotty beat my ass. And you could tell Janisha wanted Scotty to fight Roelly because she knew that Scotty was probably going to get tore up. And she was telling Scotty like, oh, you know, you said this about Roelly. Roelly said she was going to slap you when she saw you. She decided to read the post where Scotty apologized to the supporters and said that she should have defended Slim. Janisha definitely wanted Scotty to get popped. So I already told y'all in the short version, I definitely feel like Scotty was dead wrong for making that apology. If you felt the way, you should have not entered that scene with Roelly because you could have just not been a part of the scene whatsoever. But if you were going to be a part of the scene and you were against it, then you should have spoke up against it. But instead, you egged on the bullying in the scene because you thought it was cute and you wanted camera time and you wanted to be Roelly's friend and be down with Roelly. But then as soon as it hit the fan and the fans was telling you, we don't like how you look, and it aired, you wanted to apologize. And like I said, the apology wasn't genuine anyway because the apology wasn't to Slim that you made. The apology was to your supporters because you were worried about your girls image fading, which is already fading anyway because of the Janisha situation. And Roelly basically said, I would never go against my friend on the internet to apologize to the fans. Natalie never did nothing like that to me. And Janisha was basically pointing out that, you know, Scotty is basically acting like she didn't care about Roelly fighting Slim. She just felt like all the other girls jumping in and bullying Slim was overdoing it. But like Janisha said, when you made that apology, you didn't mention Summer. You didn't mention Emma. You didn't mention Jazz. You said you should have held Roelly back and told Slim to run, which means that you do feel like Roelly fighting Slim was wrong. But now you're trying to just say you felt like everybody else jumping in was wrong. Okay, so Biggie comes out. Roelly looked like she was reaching out for a hug. Biggie kind of dubbed her shit and went and hugged everybody else. But I just think she didn't see Roelly at the moment. It looked like Roelly was kind of triggered by that. And she was already triggered by the situation with Scotty. So she starts getting emotional. So when Biggie, Janisha, and the rest of the girls realized that, they asked Roelly what's wrong. So Janisha was like, talk to me. What is it? Do you feel like these girls are supposed to be your friends, but they're not really your friends? And Roelly basically says she just feels like it's only two people who really got good spirits and really check on her. So she said two people, but she actually ended up naming three people. So she said Natalie always checks on her. Jayla is just naturally spiritual. And Tasiki is one of the first girls from the show that she's invited to her house. She doesn't let people come to her house. And Tasiki's very strong, just like her. So they have a lot of things in common. And Tasiki was like, yeah, she cooked me dinner and it was so good. So like I said, y'all know Tasiki and Roelly are two of my personal faves of Baddies. So I'm glad to see they developing a friendship. So she just reiterated again that this situation with Scotty really hurt her because Scotty was one of those girls that she felt like she bonded with. So they bring Anna out. And you know what I noticed and I am a little confused about? Why does Janisha seem to not really have smoke with Anna, but she has all this smoke with Scotty? The only thing I could think of is what we've kind of gathered just from seeing the situation play out. Scotty seems to be more in love with Lemmy and wanting to be the main girl, whereas Anna just plays her role, probably sees Lemmy as a trick, gets her coins, and gets her spot on the show, or allegedly. But, you know, that's just what it seems like. So I feel like Janisha probably looking at Anna like, girl, you won a mini, you just getting your money, you just here for the ride, you not in love with my man. Scotty is in love with my man and really trying to take my place and be that main girl. But anyway, Anna comes out. Her and Biggie still gra gra boom, kissy kissy boom boom. But later on, Biggie gonna let Anna get jumped. So we'll see what happens when that happens. Biggie says she has no smoke with anybody. She doesn't plan on fighting, and she considers herself the communicative baddie. But you couldn't seem to communicate with Nunu at all season. Like Bobby said on the mic, Timon and Pumbaa. Anna says she fighting whoever want to fight her, and she definitely wants it with Summer. She hates Summer. Anna starts cursing out the audience, tells somebody SMD, you hating B, gra gra boom, and gets up and does her little dance. You know she loves to be loud and scream at the audience and on the stage at the reunions. That's kind of her thing. Santana said he feels like Biggie took the Baddies Caribbean criticism and she stood on business this season. I don't know if I feel like Biggie stood on business. I think she stood on BS. And I feel like she was at the literal rock bottom last season because she let somebody slap her in the face. So anything is better than that. So of course you felt like she stood on business because she didn't just let anybody slap her in the face this season, but she still wasn't really on nothing to me, personally. Santana told Scotty he felt like she owed Summer a fade as well, and Scotty was like, yeah, you don't gotta worry, I want my fade with her too. They bring out Tinkerbella, try to make it a big reveal that she's pregnant. Her and Santana hug. She told Santana she was mad at him. We already know why. Santana's only concern when he found out that she was pregnant was who's the daddy, which he went and asked the audience, and also the fact that Tinkerbella can't run any fades. Tinkerbella told Natalie that she's going to be the godmother of this child. And Santana told the audience, I don't believe in injured reserve, but of course this is going to be an exception and Tinkerbella will not be having any fades tonight. The audience was booing, which confused me because damn, y'all don't like her that much that y'all want her to fight while she's pregnant. But that's how some of the energy and people in this fan base of this show are. And then Janisha ends up inviting DTB back on stage. Natalie's rolling her eyes, looking mad as hell because she swore DTB was getting sent off the stage or getting removed from the set and being fired right now. But no, she's coming back out to run her fades. So her and Roelly square up and it pretty much ends here. So we'll see what happens next week. Next week looks like an all-out melee. I did not want to include pictures of that because it looked like too much. But it looks like we'll be getting Lex versus Anna, Jayla versus Summer, Dolly versus Tasiki, which it looked like Dolly was definitely losing, Summer and Scotty, Ivory and Lex, Pretty P and Summer, and that's pretty much all I was able to make out. So for episode 1 of the Baddies Midwest reunion, my most valuable OG is DTB, my least valuable OG is Natalie, my least valuable newbies are Summer and Dolly, and my most valuable newbies are Ivory and Big Lex. I will see y'all either Sunday night or Monday with the quick thoughts video for episode 2, and then sometime later in the week for the full length review of episode 2. Okay, if you're watching me on TikTok, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube, and if you're watching me on YouTube, make sure you follow me on TikTok. See y'all later. Bye.